I feel very safe.
And the comparison, you're all experts now. So initially it was so that you don't give the virus to somebody else and it doesn't help you that much from others to you. But I guess wearing double and triple means you're now covered.
Hi, sorry, I think my co-host muted everyone because it's 5:03 and we really wanted to get it going because it's time to celebrate. Yes, and guess what? I have a glass of champagne because I want to toast everyone and toast the country and our new president and vice president. I have signs around and just want to say thank you to everyone here. I know so many of you did so much work for our country, you know, making all these phone calls and texts and postcards and just really working, donating money, putting on fundraisers. I mean, it was just really, really incredible. And I think, like in the chat just now and everybody chatting, it's been such a relief and lightness in the air. I mean, at least our democratic rarefied air, but I think it is kind of time for some people, more people will realize that it is going to be time for our country to pull together. And again, our club played such a big role in electing the president and Mark Kelly and of course, Georgia, our Ossoff and Warnock new senators. And I just say, wow, we did it. And then we have to get back to work because we cannot forget that 2022 is around the corner and we've got like 4 seats to recapture here and we'll do it. You know, I mean, we'll be back on the road because that's what really hurt us was not being on the road. You know, it was really disastrous. I think that we took care. We wore our double masks and all and didn't want to go and knock on doors and take a chance. And the other team, they did it. And so I think that really hurt us, but we'll be back. You know, we're all getting vaccinated and we'll be back. So thank you. And again, I'll have a little sip. Ooh. And now we have so many great people on the call and it's really great pleasure for me to introduce one of these women that I absolutely love. She is so great. Who does not love her? She's been a grassroots activist for years and years and years. And then, you know, then she kind of started running for some offices and actually you might remember her from our Valiant Women of the Vote, which our state and national chair, Molly Baszler, put on. And she was one of our speakers there. She was a previous chair of the State Board of Equalization. And now she's our state controller, and she's also running for vice chair of the California Democratic Party at our convention in April. So I want to get my sweet, lovely, wonderful friend, Betty Yee.
Thanks, Cara, very much. Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year to you. And let me just add to Cara's comments, my thanks for everything that you all did to bring us a Biden-Harris victory, but more importantly, the election didn't stop for us on November 3rd, and we continued to do everything we could to get those 2 Senate seats in Georgia, and thank goodness, thank goodness. I, like Cara, am also in a very celebratory mood, but at the same time, know that we have a lot of work ahead of us, and 2022 is just around the corner, and we have to be at the ready. And unfortunately, you know, for a long time, I know for me, the images of those who stormed our nation's capital will be forever etched in my mind because it is not, it's something that frankly is happening in parts of California. And, you know, when we see division like that and insurrection like that, there are definitely parts of California where we have a very, very strong contingent of anti-government, militia, anti-democracy, anti-anything that looks different from, their own communities. And so very sanguine about that. We've been hearing a lot about what's been happening up in North State and Tulare County, in so many parts of the county. I just saw an ad yesterday that somebody brought to my attention from Madera County, a letter to the editor, essentially just very openly a retired school teacher recruiting for a Patriots militia group, wanting people with background and experience in the military and law enforcement, in firearms training and the like. And so this is happening right here in California. So I'm just really already geared up to look at 2022, not missing a beat, to be in these areas to support our Democrats in those areas. We know that there are so many who are activists on the ground, just trying to really change the tenor of the political discourse. And yet when you have these types of forces working against you, it's very, very difficult. But I, like Cara, want to win back those congressional seats. We really had, particularly in Orange County, where we had two incumbents who, really had a lot of, strong footing in their districts, and yet the Republicans understood and have been cultivating for a long time women candidates, women of color candidates, Asian Pacific Islander women candidates, and they're going to continue to do that. And so we have to be ready with the support for our candidates. And as Cara said, I am running for vice chair of the California Democratic Party. It's an unusual thing for a sitting elected official to do that, but I am so serious about this party, really the largest Democratic Party in the United States, being the standard bearer for economic and racial equity, and looking at how our big tent party that embraces diversity delivers real results on the ground, which means that we have to be on the ground, not just at the time of the election, but year round, and particularly in those areas that really need a lot of our support. So I'm excited about running. It's been informed by the work that I do as your controller, the growing inequality, the lived experiences of so many Californians. You all saw the headline that as a result of this pandemic and the recession, so many of our Californians who are struggling can't pay their water bills, which now is amounting to about $1 billion in water debt, which is now how we're defining poverty in California. So this is not the direction we want to go in, and we want to be sure that as Democrats, we understand that economic and racial equity has to be really the lens through which we look at all of our policies, and also look at how we're going to develop our next generation of leadership from all parts of the state. So I'm excited about the candidacy, and we'll be reaching out to those of you who are going to be delegates at the April convention to seek your support. But I think what I want to say really more importantly is that this really is a time for celebration, and we should take stock of that. We don't get to do that very often. We were so beleaguered after the prior administration and all that was dismantled, and yet we saw just really a matter of a day with a stroke of a pen, the commitment of this new administration, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy with respect to seeing eye to eye with even our current president, but it's not going to be easy with respect to who he's got to work with, who our vice president has to work with to be able to get lasting change and to reverse course on so many of the policies that the prior administration did reverse. So California will have their back, but more importantly, it's not just about settling for the least of what we can get. It's about really how do we move the needle even further so that we have lasting equity, we have lasting justice, and that no communities are left behind. So I'm just really grateful for all of you. As you know, my heart is being a grassroots activist. I love my job. I love what I do, and really have a great privilege of serving as your controller. But at the same time, I know that my roots are in this party, and the activism that I continue to bring to this party, I'd like to just elevate, because I do think it's time that we show the rest of the country that we can fight for all of our values, and at the same time not be sacrificing opportunities for everyone, and certainly sacrificing leaving certain communities behind. So I am thrilled to be here. I also want to just give a shout out to this weekend, which would have been all of us marching in the streets in the women's marches, and that hasn't stopped. I think we're taking marches literally and figuratively these days, but this is how we're going to continue to just move ahead. We have to stay connected. Thank you, Cara, for continuing to convene us virtually, and we will get to the other side of this pandemic. And I also am too hopeful that with the vaccine, this unprecedented cooperation that we've seen in the medical research community to actually get not just one, but several vaccines developed, I think just speaks very well about everybody's commitment and dedication. And now we just have to be sure that those are getting into the arms of as many people as possible. So thanks, everyone. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care. Be
Oh,
safe.
thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Betty.
Thank you, Karen.
And now it gives me great pleasure, of course, to introduce my beloved vice chair here. She is the vice president of operations of the West LA Democratic Club. And I have to tell you, of all the volunteers, this woman is the best phone banker I've ever seen. And I think other people on this call can testify to that. She's got some kind of a gift where she'll call, and she connects. I mean, all of you know, all of us make 100 calls and maybe connect with 5 or 6. Somehow she connects with maybe 30, and every person she talks to, and she's so polite. She's always like, hello, Mr. Smith. Hello, Miss Jones. You know, but whatever, she gets them engaged, and she changes their mind. If they weren't with us, they are at the end of the call. And she's also super generous with our club. I mean, she just really helps us, and she's amazing, and I love her. And it's Ingrid, our Ingrid Van Eckert. Yay, Ingrid, where are you? Where's Ingrid? Is she not a co-host?
Okay, hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to see all of my friends. Yay! And you know, being the social animal that I am, I miss all of you so much. I'm dying to have a freaking party to celebrate this unbelievable, phenomenal victory. So to celebrate, my dear friend, Benedict Brydern is our musical guest tonight. He has entertained us with his soulful violin many times at the Lantern House when we've had our holiday party. And Benny, another German with a very heavy accent, he is here with us tonight. He would normally be on the road with Yanni. And of course, we know that nothing like that is happening. No concerts, no opera, no philharmonic, no theater. It's horrible, but we'll get through this. So Benny put together 2 beautiful arrangements, and he wants to celebrate this great victory with us, if not in person, at least via video. May I just say, we are all over the moon.
Hello, West LA Democratic Club. I'm very delighted to be here today and to celebrate the inauguration of our president. The following musical selections I recorded exclusively for you and this event, and I hope you enjoy them.
Oh, so lovely. Yeah, and we're going to have another piece by Benny coming on near the end of the program. So I hope you're all ready to just kind of just groove with the moves. I love it. So next on our program, we have Mark Gonzalez, the chair of the Los Angeles County Democratic Party. And Mark has been our chair, I don't actually know how long, maybe 4 years now. And I tell you, he has done a stellar job in what is not the easiest position as anybody who's on county committee can attest to. I gotta tell you, it's sort of not a cakewalk, but he's been amazing. And the thing about Mark is he's always available to give you information, to inspire you. You ask him to come to your clubs and he goes, yes. There's never like, Mark is there. He knows how important it is for us to know we have an amazing leader, and he has been a leader. And he helped us all through the election. They guided us. They gave us our marching orders and all. And he also came on our GOTV calls. He was there to say, yeah, get out there, do the work, because he does it. And he's got another amazing job. He's district director for Assemblymember Miguel Santiago. You can imagine, like 12 hours with Miguel, and then what? Another 8 hours? Does Mark sleep? God knows. Anyway, and the other thing, he had this great honor, another one of his great friends, of course, Congressman Jimmy Gomez chose him to be an elector. So he got to cast his vote for Joe and Kamala. Isn't that the best? Anyway, I'm talking, and we should let Mark in here. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, Democrats. Mark Gonzalez, chair of the LA County Democratic Party. And first of all, let's give it up to Cara, who always does a fabulous job on making sure she gets an amazing lineup of people every single time. And, being chair of the party is a volunteer position. And I know being, president and active in all of your clubs is a volunteer position that almost feels like a full-time job. And I remember joining the Northeast Democratic Club of Los Angeles, where I live. And the minute you join as a new member, suddenly everyone's looking at you to be the president of the club. I think I was elected the next day. So I know how it is to be a representative of a club. Democratic clubs truly are the backbone of the Democratic Party. And here in LA County, we charter just a little bit over 75 Democratic clubs alone. And, all of that work couldn't be done without the work of all of you and all of the time that you guys put into it, and all of the, stuff and energy. It just takes so much work to do that. And then learning how to do it in this virtual space, which was even harder. So outside of doing it, finding a local restaurant or a facility that's able to host you, but then also going out there and doing voter registration and just putting stuff together. And so I truly appreciate all of the work that clubs do, and can continue to remain committed to helping all of you guys continue to excel in this virtual space as LA County leads the way on those particular issues, but most importantly to clubs. And so you guys in particular are one of the special clubs, LA, and I see a number of leaders on this call, Tamara Levinson, and I see Molly. I see so many people on here, Sandra and Ingrid, and I can name everybody on here who and Dency, who just had a birthday, but everybody who's just been so incredible at volunteering their time. And luckily I was asked to be the California State Director for the Biden-Harris campaign back in August. And so I took some time off to do that. And as Ms. Sydney knows, I bugged her, I texted her every single time, and everybody throughout the state to make sure, because surprisingly, people don't believe this, but I honest to goodness truth is Kamala Harris did check in and find out what was California doing. And she wanted to know what were the electeds doing. And I had to give these 20-page reports about what California was doing. But I think it was great in particular to highlight the fact that West LA Democratic Club was a major contributor to the success all across the 17 battleground states that we called. And so that was the significant thing, and just getting on there. And I know Ellen Brittle was the headquarters campaign chair of all of the phone banks, and that was extremely important. And all of you, like I said, played so much roles in the postcards. Postcards work, guys. I mean, that's something that people take for granted, but it works. I think the average call time
of the LA.
from calls made to battleground states was about 45 minutes. And so that kept voters engaged. And I think it was you guys who saw, Arizona and Georgia and the changes that were made. And it's because of folks like you who kept people engaged on the phone to say, this is why this is important. This is why this election matters. And so much hard work that you all put into it. So I want to thank you for that. And just to give you some numbers, just on GOTV weekend alone, there were 25,000 volunteers from California, just on GOTV weekend from California. And from September to Election Day, there were 75,000 active volunteers on the phones, which included all of you guys and all of your numbers. I mean, it was just so significant, the amount of calls that came out of California into these battleground states. And we were the largest volunteer base of a non-battleground state. So, West Coast, best coast is what I've jokingly said before. As California goes, so does rest of the nation. And so, but you guys did that. And so I really appreciate that. You made my job easier. I was one person for the state, and then somebody eventually named Lizzie came on board and talked to Tamara and a number of people on here, and Susan Shu, who's so grateful for all the work that you do as well. But yeah, California shine. But as Ms. Yee said, the work's not done. The midterms, I feel like, are already tomorrow, and there are people wanting to make sure that when this honeymoon period ends, they want to take it away from us. And so there's a lot of work that we have to do here locally. Christy Smith, what was it, 333 votes, I think. I know that we can do that. We can turn the tide on that. But outside of that, I mean, in our own backyard, there's a lot of races that we can do. I'll close it up by saying, yes, I did have an honor of being selected as an elector. I was one of 55, one of 306. It was never something that anybody watched before, but suddenly it got a lot of attention because I think the previous administration was trying to, tell folks to, change their vote or do it a certain way. And it was a thrill and an honor to have then Assemblymember Shirley Weber, now our Secretary of State, was the chair of the delegation, and she was phenomenal. And Frank Lima, if anybody know Frank Lima, a firefighter, was the secretary of that delegation. And it was extraordinary to be on the assembly floor with like-minded individuals who were all there to be excited on that. Lastly, for those of you who are able to attend our inaugural ball, I just want to say thank you so much. It was an exciting event. I know Cara was getting outbid, but it was an extraordinary event. And I just want to thank you all for being a part of that. I mean, it was a new idea that Drexel, who I think is on this call, came up with one night and said, hey, let's do something fun. And he did. And it was a low dollar event that we raised a lot of money for. And, I was so compelled by it that I gave away my invitation to the inauguration to the organization that I think sold a little over close to 350, or I don't know if it went up to 400. But, I love the LA County Democratic Party. I've been involved. I've been an alternate. I started off as an alternate in 2006. And so I've been involved for a very, very long time. And I've had the pleasure of serving as chair just a little over 3 years and getting reelected in July of 2020, excuse me. And so, but again, I can't do it without all of you guys. Dorothy will always call me and tell me where I did wrong. And more importantly, she'll call and tell me where I did right. So I appreciate having, friends like that and activists who, you got to have friends like that. So I appreciate you, Dorothy, for that. But enough for me. We've got a lot of work to do, and I want to thank you all. And Cara, do I still have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker? Yeah. Okay, cool. So our next speaker is a former board member of the LA Community College District. Community college is important for me. That's where I started. I spent a good 2.5 years going through the community college system, and it's extremely important because it gives you, a chance at a second chance, really, or in some cases a first chance, in my case, to be able to get an education that you can truly afford. And it takes people like, Sydney, who make sure that folks like me are able to get access to that education. And that was something that when she jumped into that role was able to do. She was also a former district director like me. And that's extremely important because we would share war stories about how we could do better. And we'd probably, have a drink or something and just be like, oh, Lord. But it helps to have, her advice. And she was always somebody who was there and made herself available to making sure that we both work together as a team, and that we were both made sure that we did our job. And it's a 24/7 gig, as most people know. But there in the California State Assembly, she serves as a champion for the environment. Many people know that she's somebody that we often have to turn to on those items, surprisingly enough, because not all Democrats are the same. But Sydney truly represents the values of the Democratic Party. On the 48th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, Sydney serves as a board member for Planned Parenthood Los Angeles. For those of you who haven't seen her video, she posted, I think yesterday, it was really, really good. But she's been advocating for women's health and reproductive rights for years. And she also serves as chair of the LA County delegation, where I know this year they are focusing on homelessness. And if those of you who follow the amazing Susie Shannon, who I think is also on here, they were out last Saturday handing out blankets within that area. And, Sydney, walks the walk and talks the talk. So I'm hoping she'll be our next senator from Senate District 30. She has the endorsement of the California Democratic Party, the Sierra Club, and recommendation of Stonewall. I can go on and on and on as I'm fangirling over her, but none other than Assembly Member Sydney Pomlager.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mark. Mark is the most amazing. He truly is the most amazing chair for the LA County Democratic Party. I have to tell you, he runs the most efficient meetings, and he has amazing hair. So for that alone, he should remain chair. I want to wish you all a happy Saturday evening. I too have a little cocktail in my Women's Vote mug. And I want to give a special shout out to Cara Robinson. Cara Robin, she is our hostess with the mostest. And I was looking at her, noticing how long her hair has gotten during a time of COVID. I love this. I feel like, in about 3 months, I'm going to see her singing at a piano bar with Ronnie Jane.
All right.
Also, just good evening. There are so many stellar Democrats on this Zoom tonight. You all know that you rock the Casbah. I mean, you are the reason why we are able to win so many seats, and while we're able to hold on to so many seats. And truly, truly one of the serious backbones of the County Democratic Party. I don't know about you, but I had a big old exhale on Wednesday. It was like being just constipated for 4 years and just needing to release. And so not only was it relieving to listen to someone who made sense and who could make complete sentences and could talk about something other than himself, but to see the greatness of California on display. Now we have a vice president of the United States who hails from California. That's really amazing, coupled with the Speaker of the House for Congress. That too is amazing, because that means they will be able to work together to share and feed information with our governor and to make sure that we're getting ourselves back on track. And then if that wasn't enough, the young poet laureate hailed from Los Angeles. I mean, if you were never a fan of the arts after Wednesday, I hope you learned something about how amazing arts can heal and just elevate us, our spirits and our souls. So I was really excited about how much California was on display. In Sacramento, we were sort of gearing up for, more dramas. And we had, we had National Guard at the Capitol. We had CHP at the Capitol. We were really sort of bracing for violence, and none occurred. But it really, for me, is giving me pause about the work that we have to do. And so many of us probably, I certainly didn't get a sense of this until this year, realize how you can be put in harm's way doing the work of the people. I don't think anyone should be afraid for their own safety when they're going into work because of the values that they espouse. And so when you look up and you see people guarding the workplace, you really have to think, where have we come as Democrats? Where have we come as a country? But, as a board member for Planned Parenthood, I think about the doctors and the nurses who work for Planned Parenthood every day, who deal with the same thing, who are met by terrorists and folks wanting to do them harm because they are fighting for a woman's right to choose. And so, how do we walk that back so that people feel safe to talk about their concerns, their values, their aspirations in a way that heals a country and allows us to work for everyone? So I have been thinking a lot about that, and I got my first taste of that actually last session when I was floor jockeying SB 145, which was an LGBTQ priority bill that said that our LGBTQ brothers and sisters do not have to be placed on the sex registry mandatorily if they're participating in anal intercourse. And as a result of that, I had QAnon and a whole bunch of crazies calling me on the phone with death threats. So, I say all that because we have a lot of work to do when it comes to unifying this country and also healing the state. But I believe that 2021 is going to be the year of recovery. I believe that we need to not allow ourselves to get distracted by this recall, and we need to focus on big issues like economic recovery. We know that our working poor and our poor are falling deeper and deeper into holes of poverty, and that's a no-no. So how we support small businesses, the small businesses that we support, that we care about, that keep our communities vibrant, how we're going to make sure that we are giving rent relief to renters and also to small mom and pop landlords so that we're not facing an eviction tsunami, how we're going to reopen schools in a way that places them in contention for like 2022 and beyond when it comes to innovation and technology and providing mental health resources for both our teachers and our students. That's the kind of economic recovery that I'm hoping we're going to be focused on. I'm hoping that we're going to revive SB 54 and have some serious, aggressive conversations about climate action and how we're healing and beginning to love again Mother Earth. I'm hoping that we are going to be talking about healthcare reform. Whatever the phrase you want to use, we have to make sure that we are providing healthcare for all. This year I'm actually authoring a bill about street medicine that will allow hospitals and clinics to bill for providing medical help and access to the unhoused, to homeless folks. We know that because they're not able to get preventative care and regular care, they come when, it's a crisis and they find themselves in our hospitals and in our urgent care centers. And so if we're allowing folks to bill for that, then we should be treating them like anyone else. And Susie can talk about Melvin and Tina and Dennis and all the folks that we hung out with last Saturday who are homeless and deserve the same kind of quality access to healthcare. And then lastly, I'm hoping that California as a state is going to get into the housing game in a real and meaningful way. We push a lot of the work onto the cities, but the state can step up. We can bring redevelopment back to town, and we can actually get into the game of constructing homes ourselves, putting units on the market ourselves. And then, of course, continuing to have discussions around criminal justice reform and bias and gender parity. Last year, 2 million women left the workforce because of COVID, because they were unable to navigate unemployment or their employment with not having childcare and with schoolwork. And so if we are going to continue to fight for and celebrate a diverse California, then we are going to have some real honest discussions about gender parity and gender equity. So the state is a little exhausted. I know I am, between the Georgia elections and getting Biden into the White House and just getting through November. I know many of us are pooped and probably feeling slightly broken on some issues. But this is a time to practice some self-care. It is a time to check in on our friends and family and our loved ones. I think it is a time to mourn the deaths and the passings of so many great friends and Democrats that we lost over the course of this past year. And then it is time to find the resiliency that we are going to need as we move into 2022. We have to get Christy Smith elected and get Mike Garcia out. We have to get on back down there to Orange County and turn those seats back blue. And we have to make sure that we are giving this president and vice president and our speaker the seats that they need to be successful for the values that we care about. And all of that will require us working together. So I'm excited about working with y'all to continue to make all of these things reality. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of the work that you all do and for your commitment to this party, to this city, to our county, and to this state. I really, really love you all.
Thank you. Oh, Sydney, thank you so much. You know, Sydney, you represent as a Senate member, gosh, probably almost half of our club members ever since the redistricting. Well, we don't know what's going to happen next redistricting, but when the old 53rd lost Mar Vista to the 54th, that became the 54th, like half our club went with it. It was crazy. So many members in Mar Vista, it was nuts, in that area. So you really, this district, your assembly district really has a major chunk of our club. So thank you very much for coming. And thank you. And we'll see.
Thank you. Yes.
And anyway, so our next portion of the day is very exciting. And it's going to be new for me as well, because I haven't seen any of this. I just know what's happening. I'm real excited to have our trivia quiz. And it's going to be Noah Tarnow is his name. And this is his company, and he's going to do this trivia. And we're going to do 2 of the quizzes as we're doing 2 of the musical presentations. The first one now, and then the second one after Congressman Member Ted Lieu speaks. And so before I bring Noah, I just want to tell you that it's really worthwhile to win this, because the winner of this first quiz will get a year's membership to the West LA Democratic Club and our iconic Vote West LA Club mask. I know a lot of you have them, but trust me, I wear this all the time. I double them up, and you can need more than one. So it's my pleasure to now introduce Noah.
Excellent. Thank you, Cara. I really appreciate it. I can be heard, correct? You can hear me?
Yeah, but while we don't see your face, we see.
Oh, don't see my face. I am going to pin myself. There you go. Hello. I should be there now. Okay, I've been spotlighted. Excellent. So what I need for this game is I need players. I need some volunteers. The last Californian to serve as vice president was Richard Nixon, the only other Californian to serve as vice president. Tad put that in the chat box. So I need 3 volunteers. So if you want to volunteer, feel free to call out your name. And once I see you here, oh my God, Mary raised her hand. Is that correct, Mary? All right, Mary, I need you to turn your microphone on, Mary. So Mary is first. I like that aggressiveness. Thank you, Mary. Is it Mary or Mary Grace? Your mic is not on, Mary.
I have to do this way. It takes.
No worries, Mary. I can hear you now. All right. Do I have a second volunteer? Anyone else want to raise their hand? Say hello. Michelle raised her hand. Michelle, let me see if I can find you. If your video is on, I'm going to have to spotlight you. If one of the other co-hosts spots Michelle and is able to spotlight her, that would be great. I'm not seeing Michelle here yet.
Michelle Morton? Is it Michelle Morton?
Yeah, Michelle Morton, that's correct.
I'm muted. Oh, okay, finally, yes. Mm-hmm.
Michelle, is your video on? Your video needs to be on.
Oh, gee, no,
All right, well, we're waiting for Michelle to get that together. And Diane also raised her hand, but I just have a black square there. So I'm sorry, I should have said that. Your video needs to be on to play. I need your video and your audio. So we officially got Mary. Michelle or Diane, if you're able to turn your video on, you're in. If not, you know what? Why don't we get a fourth person while we're waiting? We can have 4 people. So maybe let's get a gentleman here. Let's even the odds. Come on, my gender is always at a disadvantage here.
Tad, you should do it, Tad. You should do it.
Tad, has Tad been volunteered? Tad did have that trivia question there. Where is Tad? I saw Tad before. Let's see if we can get Tad here. Tad, raise your hand. Maybe I'll drag you in there. And remember, there'll be a second round. So if you don't get to play this time, you'll have a chance later. All right, let me see if I can find Tad.
That's Tad. I'm unmuting you, Tad.
All right, I got Diane, I got Mary, I got
I'm in.
Tad.
I'm old enough to have a lot of direct political history.
So we got Diane, Mary, and Tad. Michelle, if you could turn your video on, we could squeeze you in. If not, maybe we'll get you next round.
Michelle, are you going to do it? Can you turn your video on, Michelle?
That's all right. We'll come back to Michelle. Let's play with Diane, Mary, and Tad. So here's how it works. I have a series of questions for you, political trivia questions, focusing on Democratic victories. I'm going to ask the question. They will show up on the screen. In some cases, you're going to have to look at my shared screen, so keep an eye on that. After I ask a question, please wait till I am done asking. If you think you know the correct answer, you may buzz in. Now, the easiest way to buzz in, raise your hand, stick it in the camera so I can't miss it, and say buzz. Go ahead and test it now.
Buzz.
Very good. All right. The first one to buzz in, I will call your name. You may answer. If you have the correct answer, you receive a point. If you're incorrect, one of your opponents may steal. After we go through all 8 questions, whoever has the most points, they win a year's membership to West LA Dems and the Vote Mask. Here we go. Question number 1. Bill Clinton. During his first presidential campaign, he famously declared that when he tried pot, he hadn't done what?
Buzz.
Yes, Tad, what is your answer?
I didn't inhale.
Inhaled is correct. A point for Tad. Well done. All right, we move on to number 2. Let's go down to Texas. At 17 years, a Texas Democrat named Sam Rayburn holds the record for the longest time spent in what government position?
Buzz.
Yes,
Buzz.
Tad again. Tad, what do you say?
Speaker of the
Speaker
House.
of the
Speaker
House of
House,
Representatives.
The point goes to Tad. I will warn you, Tad, do not raise your hand. No one buzz in until I am done asking the
Sorry.
question. You gotta raise your hand.
I blew that.
Be fair.
No worries. Now,
I've been in the Rayburn House office building too often.
Yes, indeed. There's a theory that the only reason Speaker of the House is next in line for the presidency is because Truman liked playing poker with Sam Rayburn. Question 3, look at the screen. Here's a visual clue. I want you to ID the 2020 presidential candidate. Which 2020 presidential candidate is seen here?
Can't see it.
I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Who's the third? Who's the third?
I don't know.
I'm going to give you a few more seconds. Sound it out, and then I'll throw it to the audience. 3, 2, 1. Audience, yell it out if you know it. Everyone's mic is on.
I got it. Bernie Sanders.
Oh, Bernie Sanders. Too late, Tad. The audience gets it. Bernie Sanders is correct.
Bernie.
Yes.
Sanders.
The first time we've referenced him without a meme in the last 3 days. This
Yeah, we
one
need
was definitely figure-outable. Keep that in mind when we get back to these. All right, question number 4. What Midwestern state hasn't voted for the Republican candidate for president since 1972? Its electoral college votes have gone Democrat every year since 1972, including. Yes, Diane, what do you say?
I guess Iowa.
Iowa, incorrect, unfortunately.
Incorrect. No.
3, come on, guess a Midwestern state. You know it's not Iowa. If you knew me, I'd give you a clue that I went to college there, but that won't help you. 3, 2.
I'll try.
Yes, Dad, what do you say?
I'm from Illinois, so I know it's not Illinois. I'm going to try Missouri.
You're going to try Missouri? Incorrect. Mary, guess a Midwestern state. Anyone, other than Iowa or Missouri.
No.
The land of 10,000 lakes, Mary.
Michigan.
Michigan, incorrect. Audience. Minnesota it is. Minnesota. All right, moving on.
Minnesota.
Remember, the only state that voted for Walter Mondale. Question number 5. Chicago's current chief executive, Democrat Lori Lightfoot, is the city's first openly LGBT mayor. She is married to a woman. How many U.S. cities larger than Chicago by population have ever elected an openly LGBT mayor? Diane, say buzz.
Buzz.
Yeah, what do you say, Diane?
2.
2, incorrect.
Buzz,
Yes, Tad.
Buzz.
Tad.
It's only New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, and I'm pretty sure there's never been one in either New York or Los Angeles. So my answer is
No.
0.
Your answer is correct. 0 is correct. Note I said openly. There's some debate in New York. All right, number 6. Think about this. During his 1964 presidential campaign, Arizona Senator Republican Barry Goldwater used the slogan, "In your hearts, you know he's right." Lyndon B. Johnson retorted with a rhyming slogan, "In your blank, you know he's blank." Fill in the blanks. It rhymes.
Oh, you go get that, Ted.
In your heart, you know he's right. LBJ retorted, "In your blank, you know he's blank." It rhymes, and I think it's funny.
In your brain?
In your brain is wrong, Mary. Diane, you still there? We lost your pin.
Oh, I don't know what happened to me.
All right. Feel free to yell buzz if it. Mary or Tad, do you want to guess? I'm going to throw it to the audience in a bit.
Ah,
3, 2, 1. Anyone know? Feel free to turn your mic on and shout it out.
no.
Michelle got it in the chat, as did Mary, Jack, and David. Oh, a few people got it. And Cynthia, in your guts, you know he's nuts. And he was like,
Got you know it's that's for
all
Trump.
right. Speaking of rhymes, for number 7, here is a presidential limerick. Finish this presidential limerick about Thomas Jefferson. Not really a Democrat, but whatever. Whether in light of day or in dark, Thomas Jefferson loved field, stream, and park. He saw great import to giving funds and support to the mission of blank. What fills in the blank? It's a phrase. Rhymes with dark and park. The mission of blank. It's a phrase. Blank and blank, in fact. 2 famous names. Jefferson supported them. Rhymes with dark and park.
The Louisiana Purchase. That's
Nope,
not it. is
Louisiana
it?
Purchase does not rhyme
No,
with
it
dark and
doesn't.
park. Mary or Diane?
No, sorry.
3, 2, 1. Audience.
2 words.
Susie Shannon got it.
Oh,
Of
Lewis and
Lewis and
Clark.
Clark.
Do it
And now-
hard.
And now we get to our final question. This
I
one
was a
is
very
worth,
young man during the Lewis and Clark mission.
this one is worth 2 points. We're going to head up to Canada for this question, but I do think it's relevant to Democratic victory. All right, in a 2004 Canadian Broadcast Corporation poll, a politician named Tommy Douglas was voted the greatest Canadian of all time, thanks to his popular status as the father of what? Tommy Douglas voted greatest Canadian of all time because he's known as, he was a politician, the father of what? Number 2. Yes, Diane, what do you say?
I'm gonna guess climate.
Climate,
Environment.
environment, incorrect. Good guess, but incorrect.
Buzz,
What Tad, what do you say?
the Maple Leaf.
The maple leaf, incorrect. Mary, what's something that Canadians are very proud of that Democrats sometimes champion, and I think they'd win more if they championed more, in my personal opinion?
Climate change? No.
No, they don't champion climate change. And Diane guessed climate. So let's move to another issue that Democrats are good on. The Canadians seem to have figured out.
Dave, I see what you're doing.
What do you think, Mary?
Salmon.
3. What's
I
that?
don't know.
You don't know. Audience, someone in the chat box, what do you
Salmon.
say?
Healthcare.
Medicare is correct. Who
Oh,
said that in the chat box first? Susie said it again. Yes, and Jack and David know he is also
Okay.
Kiefer Sutherland's grandfather. True story. Total coincidence. Unfortunately,
Quizmaster, I have a protest. You said that every question was about Democratic victories, but that is a future
Yeah.
Democratic victory.
future Democratic victory. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tad. Tad, you really shouldn't complain, but because the final scores are Mary had 0, Diane had 0, but your big winner with 3 points is
Tad.
Tad.
Yay.
Congratulations, Tad. Well done. Chad, you win. All right, I'll be back in a little bit with another round of trivia, more chances to play. Thanks, everyone. West LA.
Thanks, Quizmaster.
Back to Kara.
Seems like just the other day, me and Thomas Jefferson were having a chat.
So that was great.
That was great. Thank you.
I have to say, though, I think maybe our next meeting should be a meeting on trivia. How embarrassing. All those questions that we did. We got like 3 out of all of them right. Some of you people in the chat, I think
You should ask the questions that they asked during citizenship.
I think the next round, some of you people in the chat who are getting all the right questions should, step up. Okay, Rad, do you want to? I have to say, I have to tell everybody that I've been getting texts back and forth from DC, and Maxine can't get her video, her Zoom to work. There's a thing going on back there. It's late anyway, and she can't get anyone to do it, and doesn't know what to do. They're trying to see if they can get her on the phone, which I hope they can. I don't know, but I'm so disappointed, and she's so disappointed because she really wanted to be here with us. And you know her, she's amazing, and she's my congresswoman. And so we had prepared a little clip because I was going to say this person needs no introduction. So anyway, I don't know if Blanca's on. Blanca's her district director, but she is trying to get her at least to be able to come on the phone if they can make that work. So stay tuned. It would be later probably, but let's fingers crossed. So Rad, you want to show our little clip?
I am Assemblywoman Maxine Waters.
Special voice from the community.
They stopped the brother, so I stopped to see what they were doing.
Social media got you hot, Queen Maxine.
I know. Don't hide no emotions. I don't trust this president.
I call for Trump's impeachment.
This is our country. Love, 'cause I want. The lives of our children and our communities are at stake. We will not allow men to intimidate us.
Comply with the rules of this house.
I want to say to the protesters, I stand with you. No justice, no peace. Exactly how I feel. Reclaiming my time.
Several times.
Reclaiming my time.
Perhaps I don't understand the rules.
When you're on my time, I can reclaim it.
Maxine Waters is having a moment, and now I am too.
With the House
Reclaiming
Intel
my
Committee,
time.
with the
Reclaiming my
Senate
time.
Judiciary
Reclaiming my
Committee.
time.
Okay.
Reclaiming
Matter of
my
fact,
time.
Her stony invocation of House procedural rules has turned into a reclamation rallying cry. And not just for women who are tired of being silenced, talked over, and mansplained. Women, people of color, immigrants, the LGBT community. We're all reclaiming the times we've been pushed aside. And now we have a gospel soundtrack for our movement.
Reclaiming my time. Hey, what about the letter? Reclaiming my time. That I sent you way back when. Reclaiming my time. Give me the answer to my question. Reclaiming my time. Or don't open your mouth again.
Yeah, so that's Maxine. And I really wish she could be here, but wasn't she amazing? She was our honoree a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I think, although we lost last year. Every time I think, oh, and then I wait, that's 2019 because 2020 just sort of just slipped by. But yeah, she really does speak truth, and she is the power, and I hope we can hear from her. But she is really a person for us to all emulate. She speaks the truth. She is the truth. And next up, I want to introduce someone who also always speaks the truth, and he's a longtime member of our club. Speaks from the heart. He's got an amazingly difficult job, especially in this time, especially in the neighborhoods he represents. And I've known him for a long time. He's worked for other elected officials. Right before he became council member, he worked for our beloved Bill Rosendahl. And he took over, and things in the district, things in our country got progressively more difficult. We know grappling, trying to solve this homeless crisis. It is not easy. Our unhoused are getting more and more prevalent with what's going on in the pandemic. And this is doing his very best, trust me, to make things work and to make the situations equitable. So let me introduce you, our dear friend, our club member. He's been a club member here, as I might have just said, since the beginning, Mike Bonin, the wonderful Mike Bonin.
Thank you, Kara, and good evening, everybody. I didn't know exactly where in the lineup I was going to fall, but as soon as Kara said the next speaker, and she said difficult, I said, oh shit, I guess I must be next. So thank you for doing this celebration tonight. Thank you for all the work everybody has been doing. You know, my husband usually gives me some crap because I have a very hard time doing celebration and doing elation. The night I got elected, first night, I was like, all right, what do we got to do? Down to business. The day we passed the minimum wage, I was like, what about sick leave? I don't do pausing and celebrating very well. And this week, I actually did. That Wednesday was such a day of joy and of love and of hope. You know, I sat on the couch with my husband and my little boy, who's just turning 7 next week, watching that ceremony. And like Sydney said, during that oath of office, I felt like I had exhaled for the first time in 4 years. And when the beautiful, amazing, inspiring Amanda Gorman spoke, I felt like I was breathing again, finally. And then that Celebrating America special that was on Wednesday night, again, we watched that as a family. And after 4 years of ego and hate and white supremacy and American carnage, to be able to see hope and love and inspiration and community and solidarity being celebrated was overwhelming. I mean, I'm not hesitant to say it brought me to tears. And to see particularly that clip here in California where we saw all the medical workers and the frontline workers dancing and playing music, and the diversity of those faces after 4 years of white hate being white pride and hatred of others being celebrated, to be able to look at this mirror of America again was so amazing. And I'm so grateful to Democrats everywhere for doing the work to make that moment possible. But true to not being able to celebrate long and focusing on what's next, you know, the election was the easy part. As difficult as it was getting a Democratic president elected, as difficult as it was getting that hard-fought majority in Georgia, the real Senate majority through the 2 races in Georgia, the real hard part is making change. And those who've been elected at the federal level, those of us that elected at the local level, need your help. We are going to need to fight to make sure that, you know, Joe Manchin doesn't side with the Republicans and stand in the way of all sorts of progress that we need to help our city and our neighborhoods. We're often going to need to fight Biden from the left, although not by the signs of the first week, because he's had some amazing initiatives and executive orders. And I want to appeal to folks, we need to fight for progressive values here locally. To get what we want done in this world, we need action at the state level, at the federal level, at the county level, and at the local level. And we've got some real battles here in Los Angeles to get things done. And I intend to take on all of them, but I want to appeal to folks to engage in those battles, because we're fighting some really strong forces, special interests. In reimagining public safety, we are fighting the Los Angeles Police Union, and it is a tough battle. They fought reform in Sacramento. They're fighting the right investments here in Los Angeles, and they're getting nasty, and they want to take out progressives. We are fighting corporate real estate interests that are getting in the way of efforts to prevent gentrification and displacement, that are getting in the way of providing affordable housing, that are getting in the way of protecting renters and protecting mortgage holders from eviction and from foreclosure. We are fighting the fossil fuel industry, which is going to fight like hell to prevent the shutdown of Aliso Canyon and Playa del Rey SoCal gas facilities. They're going to fight like hell to prevent us from getting to 100% clean energy here in Los Angeles. And we're fighting like hell against the status quo inside of government and outside of government that is preventing us from solving the homelessness crisis. An internal status quo that is resistant to fast and innovative and inexpensive solutions to homelessness that, God damn it, we need. And an external status quo that is opposed to solutions to homelessness when it comes to housing and shelter and services. And we need to engage on those fights to make the change we need. And we can do it. I mean, Los Angeles, when it puts its shoulder into it, Democratic activists, when they put their shoulder into it, are amazing and unstoppable. And at a time now where the national agenda is looking at California for inspiration, that leadership often comes in California from Los Angeles. And we can be the leaders on climate change. We can be the leaders on solving homelessness. We can be the leaders at providing affordable housing and standing up for renters and even for small landlords. We can be the leaders in reimagining public safety if we bring the passion and the love and the energy that we brought to this last election to the day-to-day grind of really making change. And it's going to be so inspiring to see it happen and so rewarding to be able to celebrate it when it does happen. And I'm just enormously grateful to all of you and to this club for the work that has been done and the work ahead. And I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. And Ron?
I'm sorry, I was supposed to introduce Ron Galperin. I got so worked up on the battles we need to fight that I forgot about an ally. So let me introduce Ron Galperin, my friend, who has been an amazing force for transparency and efficiency in our government here in Los Angeles. Ron got elected the same time I did in sort of a mini LGBT sweep here in Los Angeles, where we got 2 gay city council members and our first LGBTQ citywide official in Los Angeles. Since being in office, Ron has really opened up the doors and the windows of City Hall, inviting people in and using data as a way for people not only to see how government works, but to try to influence how it works and for whom it works. So it is my pleasure. Oh, and but the most important thing, the thing I love most about Ron, as a late in life gay man, dad to a little boy, I gotta say, I am just so happy and thrilled for Ron and his amazing husband Zach, and the joy they now have and share with the world with their incredible little babies. It's inspiring and heartwarming to see. So Mazel Tov.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful introduction. And thank you so much, Councilmember Bonin. It was really a pleasure all those years ago to get sworn in at the same time and to continue to work together with you. And Mike is the kind of person who fights all the good fights and does so with great passion and great verve and a great moral compass. And so thank you so much for doing that. And you were an inspiration, I have to say, for I was watching as you and your husband were raising your son. So I decided to just double your pleasure, as they say, and do it with twins. And this has been a very, very challenging year with COVID for so many people, for everybody really. But the ability to actually see our children growing up so close, and to spend more time with them. For us, that has been a real blessing. And it's also a reminder of why we do the things that we do, is to really make this a better world for the younger generation and for the next generation. And we have a lot of work to do. So I thank you so much for the introduction, but thank you so much to all of our fellow Democrats for everything that you're doing each and every single day. What a heck of a week this has been. And I have to say, I felt so many emotions personally. I felt tears of happiness and joy. I felt laughter. I felt awe. I felt sadness for so many of the people that we have lost to COVID, and so many of those who are in our hospitals today, and for also the many challenges that we have in our city and in our nation. But what I felt most of all was a feeling of hope. And it's hope for our working families and individuals, for everybody, for economic and food insecurity that we are dealing with in this nation, for those who are dealing with job and housing losses, for the tremendous racial inequality that we still have, made more acute because of the last administration's really shameful and, in fact, criminal response to COVID-19. But this is a new year, and we are looking forward to a year of vision from President Biden and Vice President Harris, and seeing them take that oath of office was a real breath of fresh air. And I'm really fortunate that I get to be on the DNC, that I serve on Democratic Municipal Officials, which represents Democratic officials around the country. And we know that we've got much to do. So you asked, Kara, and thank you so much for inviting me, and I love you, Kara, about a vision for 2021. And so here are some of the thoughts that I scribbled down. First of all, is to really address the COVID crisis, and to get everyone who can get a vaccine and who needs a vaccine to get it for them, and to make sure that those are available. And let's be frank, the rollout has been less than stellar on a national level, on a state level, and even on a local level. And we can, and we must, and we will do much better. We've got to get our economy back on track. And that is about helping also our local and our county governments get the funding they need to better serve residences, and to also help so many of those businesses that have been closed for so long. We need more immediate solutions to homelessness and to our unhoused brothers and sisters. And I know, Mike, you've been working on that a lot, and so have a lot of other people. And there is a tremendous amount, I believe, that we can and must do to get people off the street much more immediately. We were having about 1,000 people die on our streets a year. I haven't seen the final numbers for 2020, but I believe they're close to 1,300. Imagine that in a city with so much wealth and with so much resources, that people should be dying on our streets in that way. It's inexcusable, but it's something that we can do a better job of. And we have to, let's also be honest, what's working, what's not working, and a willingness to reevaluate, and to also look at what service providers are doing a great job and which ones perhaps need to be looked at more critically. We also have so much to do on our environment. And this year for me is going to be very much about issues of looking through a lens of equity. And we just recently put out in our office the first ever equity index for the city of Los Angeles, in which we look at each and every single community in Los Angeles at a whole bunch of different factors, ranging from air quality to education, to access to healthcare, to owner versus renter, to rent burden, so many other things. And we attach actually scores to a variety of different neighborhoods so that we can look at where do we need to invest our resources. We've also put out a resource hub with all sorts of information for no matter who you are, if you are a renter, an owner, a small business person, a student, an immigrant, we have a whole bunch of different resources for you. We've done a lot of work on contracting equity and how to make sure that the billions of dollars we spend on goods and services are representative of the diversity that is our city. Looking at our own city workforce and how we can make sure that we really provide better opportunities for women and also for our communities of color, because we are lagging even in our own city, even despite our own policies as a city government. And so these and many other things are going to be the focus for me and for so many others at City Hall. So I just want to thank you for everything that you do to improve people's lives, because it's not just about winning elections, although certainly that's really important, but it's about how we change people's lives and improve people's lives. And it's an honor to be of service, an honor to be in the company of so many other great speakers today, including Mike Bonin. And thank you so much, Kara, for all that you do and everybody else who's part of the Dems. We are very blessed and we have work ahead of us. So we celebrate tonight, and tomorrow we get back to work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rod. And I love you too. And like I said, that picture of you and Zach and the babies was the best holiday card I got. I never saw such joy. I really never saw such joy, right, Mike? In anybody's faces. I mean, it was like, yes, here we are with our babies. Oh my God. It made
Well, I'm a little bit biased, but they are the cutest in the world.
so okay, so in 1 minute,
We're very blessed.
We're gonna have my state senator, and again, I think he represents 2/3 of the club as state senator. Maybe not quite, but over half for sure, who's right now giving his baby a bath, but he'll be here in a minute. But right before this, we just have a little bit of amusement for you. Brad, you want to put our things up? I created one of these, by the way. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen some of those. Oh, I love them. They are so good. This is really fun, huh? Okay. Are we ready? Ben, can you come on? I don't know. We're texting. Ben. Well, sorry. He's giving the baby a bath. He was having dinner. Perfect. Isn't it wonderful that we actually have all these family people? I mean, and we can actually do our lives while doing Zoom. I mean, I really think that that's a big plus, and I also think like it's raining and people can come out and do a Zoom and don't have to like really worry about getting into an accident or something, and no excuses. You have to show up. So I think maybe we'll let Ben.
Yeah, I'm here.
I was going to say, well, let you finish your bath. Okay. All right. Well, this is Ben. I'm just going to say one thing because I was blah, 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 blah. But I love you, Ben, and I am so proud of you. And I'm so happy that you are my senator. And, there were some like issues in the beginning, and the one thing that I really love wasn't the first bill. It was among your first bills. And you had the courage and you took so much flack with your vaccination bill. Remember? I mean, everybody was like, yeah, getting all these calls, all these things, blah, 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 blah. A little bit of prescience, huh? thank you so much for that and for all your environmental work. And it's all yours, darling.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Kara. And it's good seeing everybody on the call. I forgot, I'm sorry for not dressing up more, but I felt I should wear my shirt here from the 2009 inauguration. Right. And I actually was there in person, which was a very, very special experience. But I will say, watching it on television is a lot warmer, and you can actually hear the whole speech. Well, I don't know, for those of you who've been in person, unless you've had really, really good seats, most of us normal folks, even those of us who've been able to, get a hookup for a ticket, are oftentimes so far back that the reverberations of the speech, run off of the mall, and you could barely hear what anyone's saying. And so I actually was able to hear the whole thing, including that extraordinary poem, and of course, our president's speech, which was just fantastic, and those wonderful musical performances. What a celebration of the arts, by the way. Real recognition. The arts are back. We finally have an administration that cares about the arts and culture, but it also was, I think, a reminder of the healing power of the arts. And I think we're going to have to spend some time, engaging our artists. One of the things that they say up in Northern California during some of the terrible fires, the artists were the second responders. They were the people who came in to help communities heal and rebuild after all the devastation of the fires. Anyway, it's been a great. It's kind of disorienting. I'm so used to turning on the news and getting to watch the latest ridiculousness from Trump, and now you actually have some competent people making decisions. And what did you know? They're actually doing sensible things. I mean, if you think about what the president, vice president, been able to do in just this week, all these things that should have been done, a year ago. That for whatever reason, the president simply wasn't able to do. I mean, things like, signing an executive order requiring face masks on federal property, or when you're in interstate travel, authorizing the use of the Defense Production Act to ramp up vaccine and PPE production. I don't know why Trump wasn't willing to do that. I have my guesses, but that, what a no-brainer. Working on a stimulus package, more direct payments to people in need. Ramping up funding for vaccine distribution, which of course we're all struggling with so much because of the lack of vaccines and the lack of infrastructural support that we got from the federal government building up until now. And then of course, all sorts of other things, rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, restoring federal protections for LGBTQ plus Americans, extending the freeze on student loan payments through September, and actually talking much more broadly about student loan forgiveness, so that people don't have to leverage, spend their entire careers paying off their college loans. Immigration reform, all of these things that it's just so exciting to see them back on the agenda and have us talking about them again. This must be what Marco Rubio referred to as the radical leftist agenda in one of his latest tweets. I mean, what I want to say to him is, man, you don't even know a radical leftist agenda. I can send you some of my local activists and they can talk to you about their agenda. What Biden is proposing right now is just basic common sense. We'll get to the more progressive stuff a little, as we go. Though, I will say, I worry that the Republicans are not going to give him as much space as they ought to. And this is why it was so important that we all work so hard to win back the Senate. And I just have to say, I co-hosted an event with some folks here on this call, and we did, all those phone banks building up to the November election. Thank you, everybody on this call. I recognize so many faces from all of those phone banks and calls and the efforts. Some of you actually went in person to Arizona and to Georgia. Thank you. The work you put in really made a difference. And that election was it was much closer than it should have been. At every level, given the monstrosity that we had in the White House. And even though Biden ultimately actually had a strong win, it's still unbelievable to me that the number of people who voted for Trump. But obviously, razor thin majority in the Senate, a pretty small majority in the House. It was your work. It was your work that just turned out every voter, and that said to disenfranchised people, please stick it out, stay in line. Get yourself back on the rolls if you've been purged. All of that hard work that was put in especially in places like Georgia. And I just know that so many of the folks on this call were part of those efforts and involved with all the things that Stacey Abrams was doing, So just thank you. Thank you as a fellow American, as a fellow Democrat who cares about the future of our country, as someone who's a dad who wants an administration that's going to spend time working on climate change and on helping, disadvantaged folks, helping to create more racial justice in our country, helping to create more civil rights and expand access to healthcare. I mean, all those basic things that really, I guess are a part of the radical leftist agenda. For me, it's just common sense. So thank you to everyone for stepping up. When you talk about visions for 2021, for me as a legislator, and I got to hear Sydney, I got on a little late, so I don't know if you had other legislators on, but I got to just say, as a legislator, how immensely excited I am to finally, once again, have a partner in the White House, in the federal government, at every level of the federal government now, who actually wants to work with us, who when the state of California wants to, clean up our own air, that we're actually going to have a partner that's going to say, yes, California, do what you need to do to reduce your smog levels, do what you need to do to reduce your pollution levels. We're not going to stand in the way. We're actually going to encourage you. We're going to work with you. We're going to try to find ways to help you strengthen your environmental laws. We're going to help you, find ways to integrate immigrants and welcome immigrants and be a diverse, welcoming place. We're going to work with you to try to expand access to healthcare, and not take away, the ACA and not jam up your efforts to try to expand healthcare to people. So that's just it's just a wonderful thing to know that finally, once again, we have a partner we have partners in Washington, in the White House and in the Congress, who are actually committed to working with us to expand quality of life for people from all different walks of life in the state of California. And so for that, I'm immensely grateful. That's my Thanksgiving, and my thanks to everybody on this call for your passion for our party and for helping to make it happen. So thank you. And without further ado, it's actually a good segue. Our wonderful Congressman, Ted Lieu, talk about a great federal partner. Who, by the way, not only was the guy who got the ball started on the impeachment while he was stuck under a bench, fearing for his life because of these, or maybe you were in a secure pod or something. I don't know where you were, but whatever it was, you were instead of getting afraid and just upset, you actually said, let's do something about this. We have to hold this ridiculous person in the White House accountable. So you got the ball rolling there. But we all know that Ted is somebody who is going to be the steadfast partner that California needs. He's going to help us in the state. And of course, he's former state senator. So he knows Sacramento, he knows our state legislature, he knows our priorities and our values. And he's going to be, the partner that we want and deserve and need as California seeks to put in place some of the important progressive reforms that we all want. And he's going to help to make sure that the federal government doesn't stand as a roadblock, but as a true partner. And so, Ted, you're a good friend. I'm honored to serve in your former seat. You've just been a great leader for our community. And without further ado, our wonderful Congressman, Ted Lieu.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator Allen, for that wonderful introduction. There are some elected officials, you sort of wonder, like, why do they want to be in office or what are they doing there? And then there are people like Senator Allen who actually wants to get things done. And so his work on the environment, on healthcare, on the arts has been amazing. He's passed some amazing laws. He continues to push progressive policy. So let's give Ben a big round of applause. So the former president lost in a period of 4 years the House, the Senate, and the White House. And that is in part thanks to all of you. You worked hard, not just this election, but in the midterms 2 years ago where we flipped the House. And it's because of your efforts that we had this beautiful, amazing inauguration on January 6th. And what a burden that was lifted on all of us. And I think all of you probably feel lighter than you did a week ago. It's something that we need to keep fighting to preserve. I do find it highly disturbing that about 45,000 votes in 3 swing states meant the difference between inaugurating the former president a second time versus inaugurating Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. At the same time, that is not a function of our country. That's a function of the Electoral College. What happened in America is that 81 million people, an astounding record number of voters, turned out and voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, 7 million more. And that was an emphatic rejection of an incumbent president. So what we saw was basically the soul of our nation rise up and fire Donald Trump. That's actually what happened. Because the Electoral College, it was way closer than it should have been. And we just need to keep fighting and make sure we continue to win those swing states and swing districts. There's another set of elections in 2 years. And so we need all your help again and make sure we hold on to the House in the Senate. I told this story at a CDP event, but I'll share it again. I remember my 2 kids watching the inauguration of Barack Obama, and they were too young to vote. And then they watched the inauguration of Kamala Harris, and they're still too young to vote. So we should understand the amazing progress that we have made. Even though the last 4 years were a retrenchment, a step backwards, if you look at it, let's say in the last 20 years, we have made some amazing progress, and we're going to continue to make progress these next 4 years. I also remember going to Alabama a couple years ago with then the late Congressman John Lewis. We did that amazing walk across Edmund Pettus Bridge. We also visited the Rosa Parks Museum. And after going through that museum, if any of you visit Alabama, you should check out that amazing museum in Montgomery. But I also remember thinking that Rosa Parks would not have been surprised by the last 4 years. She lived a life of discrimination. She would not have been surprised by white supremacists and Donald Trump and white power, but she never would have imagined Barack Obama winning 2 terms or even getting elected in the first place. And she never would have imagined that right now we have our nation's first female, Black, and Asian American vice president. So it is a wonderful feeling. It's a good time to be a Democrat. And we're going to keep fighting to make sure that we get our legislation through. I'm now going to touch a little bit on impeachment and conviction, and then I'll answer any questions that you may have. So some folks may wonder, well, with the former president out of office, why would we go through with a Senate trial? So there's at least 3 reasons. So let me say this. I would much rather be working with the Biden administration on COVID relief packages, on bills helping American people. I would much rather work on trying to heal our country. But at the same time, we can't just ignore what happened on January 6th. A violent mob attacked our nation's capital, killed several people. Well, let me see, at least murdered 1 police officer. A bunch of people died also as a result of that mob. And that mob was incited by the former president. This mob was going around trying to assassinate Speaker Pelosi, trying to hang Vice President Pence, trying to kill AOC. We can't just pretend that didn't happen. And so the first reason is you have to have justice and accountability for one of the most traumatic events in our nation's history. Second reason you would do this is if the Senate convicts, it would deprive the former president of a number of taxpayer-funded benefits, such as a taxpayer-funded pension. I mean, how many of you believe he deserves a taxpayer-funded pension? In addition, he would be deprived of taxpayer-funded office space as well as taxpayer-funded office personnel. And the Senate could also impose a punishment of disqualifying him from ever holding office anywhere in the United States ever again. And then the third reason is for deterrence. The only time you're really going to see a president try to hold on to power illegitimately is after that person's lost an election. And it can't be that future presidents are going to think, well, I'm going to have a free attempt at an insurrection or a coup because the Senate's not going to have jurisdiction over me because I'm going to leave in a couple months anyway, so I might as well try this coup. That cannot be the thinking of future presidents. So we have to deter all future presidents from thinking they can use illegitimate means or even violence to try to cling to power. That's why we have to have this Senate trial. And we look forward to presenting a great case to the senators and the American people, and then we'll see what the senators do. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ted, I had hi, by the way.
Hi, Tara.
Thank you so much. You look fabulous, by the way. I just want to say that.
It's the lighting.
Oh, yeah, right. No, you really look good and relaxed. And I refer to him as the has-been. That's my new name. I never say anything, right, Ingrid? It's like,
That's a good term.
he's the has-been. And I think having the has-been is really, you just look so much more relaxed and happy. And, I mean, I know it was really stressful the other day, but a couple people asked some questions and then we can take them from the chat. But one was from Linda Lux, heard that U.S. military bases and maybe VA sites have common area TVs turned to Fox News. And if that's true, and given that channel's involvement in inciting sedition, is there anything you can do to look into this charge? And if it is true, work to change the channel, especially if it's military and VA? And if you can, would you let us know what you can do about that?
Sure, I'm happy to look into it. I just know that with my experience on military bases, pretty much there's no directive that says it has to be on any particular channel. So sometimes it'll be on Fox, sometimes it'll be on CNN, sometimes it'll be on a soccer game. So it just sort of depends. And but I will look into it, see if there's any sort of unspoken policy that they had a bunch of bases exclusively on just tuning into Fox News. So I'll look into that. Thank you.
Someone else wanted to know, Felisa, if Trump does not get convicted, will his whole family still have security paid by the taxpayers?
Yes, and actually there was an amendment in 2013 that said even if a president is convicted, they would still get Secret Service protection.
Really?
So he's just going to get Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. And there's actually nothing we can do about that. Well, I suppose you could pass a law that would deprive him of it, but short of that, he'll get it.
Would that be super mean to do? It would, but not to say he's not deserving. I know there's so many questions. Somebody wanted to know, wait, everybody wants him impeached, of course. Oh yeah, Linda just asked that other question. I can't, people are just making comments rather than asking questions. Can anyone, do you want to raise your hand if you have a question? Oh, how about the For the People Act? Julie asked, will it become law, the For the People Act?
So I understand that to be HR 1, which is a set of voter reforms, much needed, as well as campaign finance reforms, as well as cleaning up ethical rules and anti-corruption laws. I'm a co-author of it. I fully support it. It's going to pass the House. The Senate has introduced a similar version. I'm hopeful it'll pass. I believe the current version will get filibustered by the Republicans. But so two things could happen. The Democratic senators at some point could say, we're so sick of this, we're just going to get rid of filibuster. Or they might look at passing a more narrow version that would overcome a filibuster. So I do think we'll get some reform in terms of voting rights and campaign finance and so on. I just don't know what that's going to look like at this point.
Someone wants to know if that they just saw your name being floated for California Attorney General. Would you be interested in that or continuing with your amazing work in Congress?
So I'm sort of 24/7 working on the Senate trial, but I'm not going to turn down an appointment for Attorney General.
You would not?
My focus right now is the impeachment.
Yeah.
Actually, let me take it back. He's already been impeached. He's the first U.S. president impeached twice. I'm working on the conviction right now.
So that would be where you want to keep your focus. Yes, I agree.
Right, but I wouldn't turn down an appointment.
You would not. Okay. Well, okay, everybody. Time to start your texts. Oh, right, yeah. Is anything going to be done about the filibuster? I think you already addressed that.
You'd have
didn't
to ask Senator Schumer about that, and Joe Manchin.
you? Joe Manchin, we're such a thorn.
Yeah.
What somebody wanted to know, what is the House? I don't understand that. What legislation is the House working on to Trump-proof the presidency? I don't get that.
So let me answer that this way. The former president exposed a number of loopholes in our laws, a number of areas that we have to strengthen in terms of ethics and corruption. He also showed how weak Congress can be in terms of oversight, because he basically issued a directive telling people just ignore congressional subpoenas. And there wasn't much we could do about it because the only course of action was litigation, which takes years. And so we're still literally right now litigating the Don McGahn case, who we asked to come appear before Judiciary Committee. And by the time that reaches the Supreme Court, there's a decision, right? No one's going to care. I mean, no one cares right now. So I think we also have to put in my legislation on inherent contempt that would allow the House to execute our powers that the Supreme Court has already upheld to take action on people who ignore congressional subpoenas, including fining them money. And so my bill would authorize fines of up to $100,000 in up to $25,000 increments. So I think we do have to pass a series of reforms to make sure that no future president ever tries to do what the former president tried to do.
And speaking of future presidents, how about the status of your Lou Barkey bill, to eliminate the presidential?
Right. So Senator Markey and I have reintroduced that legislation. Well, let me take that back. We're about to reintroduce it. We're just waiting for the bill numbers to go up to 669, which is the original bill number. We just didn't want to change our documents. So as soon as the bills go up to 669, we'll introduce it, and it'll be HR 669 again this time. So that'll be relatively soon.
And you want to explain about it?
I'm sorry. Yeah. So we actually introduced this when Barack Obama was president, because we were trying to push him to go to a no first use policy on nuclear weapons. It was not originally targeted at the former president, although the conduct of the last 4 years makes it very imperative that we get this through. If you look at the Constitution, the framers basically gave the most important power they knew at that time, the power to declare war, to Congress. So in our mind, there's no way they would authorize one person, the president, to be able to launch thousands of nuclear weapons that could kill millions of people in less than an hour and not have called that war. And under the current launch approval process for nuclear weapons, the president basically gets to decide to launch nuclear weapons, and no one from the judiciary or from Congress or even his own cabinet is in that process. He could essentially order the launch. It simply goes through the military chain of command and missiles fly. So our view is that is just unconstitutional. The framers never would have allowed that. Our bill requires that for a premeditated nuclear first strike, the president will first have to get authorization from Congress.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, I mean, especially with him. You know, I mean, I think he's given us so much to think about, the power of the presidency, this unlimited power, which we just don't seem to do anything about. What is going to happen with these anti-patriots in Congress, Ted? You know, the people that have abetted what happened on the 6th.
I think different members have different levels of culpability. So there are some Republican members that simply voted to not certify. So I think they're wrong. I disagree with them. But I'm not sure I would sort of punish them in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Some members, however, that actually spoke at that rally that whipped up the mob into a frenzy. I think those members should be investigated to see whether they incited an insurrection, which is a felony. There's also possibly some members that may have either given information to some of these rioters, either the day of or in advance. So we're gonna have to look into that. So I think it does sort of depend on the specific member. And then you may have seen, I think just about an hour ago, a story broke that Congress member Scott Perry, Republican out of Pennsylvania, worked very closely with the former president to try to overturn these election results in ways that seem pretty nefarious to me. And so I think he should be investigated.
And what about that what's her name? I hate this, Laura. Oh my God, our Alan Bale, our past president, keeps calling her Lorena Bobbitt. You know, what's her name? Laura, the one who carried the gun in, and
yeah. So she's out of Colorado. She's one of those fringe type folks. We're going to pass a rule in the House that's basically going to impose a $5,000 fine for trying to bring a gun into the Capitol, and then a $10,000 fine on your second offense. It might be the House floor. I have to look exactly how the rule is structured. And also for evading metal detectors.
Yeah, but what about the text she was sending out? I mean, this
Yes, I think she should be investigated to see
weird, you know. I mean, it's
what happened there. Yep.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, there's proof. I mean, there's this right in your face. And can they be relieved of their positions? Can you do that? Is that
well, so there's two things. My view is no one in America is above the law, not the president, not his attorney, and certainly not any members of Congress. So if any of them violated any laws, they should be investigated by the FBI, and then the facts should be forwarded to prosecutors to decide what to do. Separate from that, the House could expel a House member, and the Senate could actually expel a senator. I think there have to be a full investigation. I think there have to be pretty compelling facts, but both houses do have the power to do that.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, that Holly fist, you know, yeah, go you guys. I mean, what was that all about?
That was, I agree with you.
This is insane. I mean, how can you do that and call yourself, you know, a senator or a Congress member representing our country? I don't get it. Do you have time for a couple more questions? There's some big ones here.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, by the way, for waiting and being so patient and being our champion as always. Again, you represent so much of our club. I mean, you represent, I think, 2/3 of the club. So that's, I just love all you guys. It's so wonderful. Carolyn Fowler wants to know if there is a better possibility to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act now.
Yes. So that will pass the House again. It sort of depends on whether Republicans will filibuster it. I think they probably will. But a lot of them actually are okay with many parts of the bill. So again, one or two things is going to happen. The Democrats in the Senate are going to be so angry after a while of everything being filibustered, they'll remove it, or they'll try to sort of negotiate a somewhat narrower version of that act. So it remains to be seen, but I do think we will get some version of it through.
You think some version that they won't manage to filibuster the whole,
right.
So it's palatable to some of those.
Right, because I think Mitch McConnell is very aware that if they filibuster everything, Democrats will get rid of that rule. So they have to sort of pick and choose, I think.
Okay, now maybe this will be the last question. It's so long. Many Democrats are concerned about the new makeup of the Supreme Court, but many court rulings are based on statutory interpretation, and by simply clarifying the intent of the statute, Congress can override bad rulings and regain power from the judiciary, which was never meant to be a last word on the interpretation of our laws. As a Judiciary Committee member, will you vow to re-examine Supreme Court rulings and introduce statutory overrides?
Absolutely. And that's a great point. It does concern me less when the court is interpreting a federal law, because Congress can change federal laws. The problem is if they're interpreting the Constitution in a wacky way, or something that's sort of offensive, then there's not much we can do. But yes, so for Supreme Court rulings on laws, I think the House and Senate would absolutely try to fix, if they try to, strike down any of our laws that Democrats support, we would try to fix that.
Well, let's get some more judges on the Supreme Court, shall we? Do you think that could be a possibility? I don't know what you're all talking about, but we sure would like that. Change that balance. That's Senate.
I think that also, well, first, it wouldn't happen unless they got rid of the filibuster. Also, I think it sort of depends on what the Supreme Court does in next 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've been surprised by some of the positive rulings. So I think that I'm getting nudged by your district director to let you go. Where are you? Are you here or in DC?
I'm in Southern California right now.
You are. Welcome back.
But I will be in DC on Monday for we're going to walk over the article of impeachment to the Senate Monday at 4:00 Pacific time.
We'll be watching. We will be watching. And as people have kept pointing out, and I have to agree, these fines for people, they're not enough. The fines, they really have to be kicked out. You guys really have to do your due diligence and get rid of these insurrectionists in your own house there.
I definitely do think there'll be investigations. So we'll see where that leads.
And well, you're the prosecutor. You do it, right? That's your bailiwick. Okay, Ted, thank you. Thank you very, very much for honoring us as usual. And we'll see you again very soon, I'm sure. And I think we're back to the trivia. If everybody
have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Ted. So I don't know how you're feeling, because it's late. I know we said it would be over at 6:30, but oh my gosh, I'm loving what's happening here. And if you're willing to stay, we have some more quiz. And who would like to volunteer?
Okay, well, I do want to say that because they did so well in the chat box with their answers last time, I want to give first priority to Michelle Morton, Susie Shannon. I don't know if Susie's still here. I didn't see her in her participants box. And the duo of Mary Jack and David Dayan. So if any of you want to play, you get first priority in my book. So if I just called your name and you want to take part, raise your hand. I'll spotlight you. You're in the game.
Let me see if Susie's still here. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see Susie in the participant list, but I did see Michelle and I did see Mary and David. So
they're tough.
If not,
wait, hold on a second. Been called on to participate in the trivia quiz. Still here?
David and Mary, or Michelle, if you are here. All right, I'm not hearing from them. So I think, Mary and David are there. Excellent. Yes. All right, Mary and David are in the game. Last call for Susie and Michelle. If not, does anyone else want to take part? Did I just hear from someone?
Dorothy, you should do it. You know all the stuff.
Oh, Dorothy, the look on her face when you said her name, Cara, was...
I mean, how about you, Carolyn?
You get buzz.
You don't think you're good at trivia? Oh my gosh.
All right, we definitely just need, we need at least one more person.
You know all this stuff.
We got Mary. Ben Lazebnik will take a shot. All right, let me find Ben. See if we can keep Ben. Oh, there's Ben. All right, good. Oh, I saw Ben. Yep, very good. All right, we got Ben. Excellent. So we got Ben. We have, I had Mary, Jack, and yes, there they are. Excellent. All right, do we have a third player? Last call for third player.
Nancy,
We have
come on.
Ben, Mary Jack, and David. If not,
No,
we
no.
have Flag Kara in.
Person.
Where are our electeds? We are
Yeah.
I think Congressman Lieu is gone.
Well, my microphone is on, so I'll do it, but I'm not 100% here.
Is that Dorothy? Excellent, Dorothy. Thank you, Dorothy.
Yay.
All right.
Right?
So in the game, we have Dorothy, the team of Mary Jack and David, and Ben. So you saw how it worked before. I am going to ask a question. Please wait till I am done asking. If you think you know the answer, buzz in. Buzz! I will call your name.
Noah, I
Yes.
have a prize. Another
Okay, good.
another one of our ubiquitous tasks.
Another vote mask. Excellent.
And admission to our next in-person party, either the summer party or the holiday party.
Oh,
You can
wow.
have
Probably holiday.
admission. So that should be worth it because those are fabulous.
All right. Plus honor and glory, of course. So please do not buzz in until I'm done asking. Raise your hand and say buzz. I will ask you the question. I will ask the question. I will let you answer. If you're right, you get a point. If you're incorrect, we throw it to another player. Here is question number 1. Sorry. All right. Arizona's new Democratic Senator Mark Kelly is only the 3rd U.S. Senator ever to have gone where? Yes, Ben was first. What do you say, Ben?
Outer space.
Outer space is correct. A point for Ben. Well done. Yes, he is an astronaut. Only 3rd one ever. Cynthia knew that. Very good. Next question. Appropriately, on their first date in 1989, Barack and Michelle Obama saw what politically contentious Spike Lee movie?
Buzz.
Oh, it was Mary Jack and David first, I believe. What do you say?
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Correct. Where are my New Yorkers in the house? Thank you. All right. Next
That's what
question.
we saw on
We're
our
going to watch. So for this one, we are going to see a video clip of a former Democratic president, and we have beeped out 2 words, the same word twice. It is a name, actually. What name have we beeped out? This is Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1944. Here we go.
These Republican leaders have not been content with attacks on me, or on my wife, or on my sons. They now include my little dog. Well, of course, I don't resent attacks, but does resent them.
All right, FDR, quite the comedian. What was his dog's name? A little Scottish Terrier, looked like Toto from The Wizard of Oz. Oh, Tad knows. Tad, you know it all. All right, I'm going to give it 3, 2, 1. Anyone in the audience? Tad already wrote it in the chat. Ted Vale. What do you say, Ted? Turn your mic on or write it in the chat. Ben muted himself.
Yeah, Bala.
Bala is correct.
Bala,
His little dog. Bala. He made fun of Thomas Dewey and won his 4th election. Number 4. Only one of them won. What last name was shared by the only trio of brothers who all ran for president of the United States? Only one of them won. Ben, what do you say? You got to turn your mic on, buddy.
Oh, wait. I got to unmute. Okay, unmute.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Kennedy is correct. John won, Ted and Bobby ran. All right, next question. Ben Jones, who served as a Democratic congressman from Georgia in the 80s and 90s, first gained fame playing someone named Cooter Davenport on what TV show, which ran 1979 to 1985?
Buzz.
Yes, Mary Jack and David.
That'd be the Dukes of Hazzard.
The Dukes of Hazzard is correct. He was Cooter on the Dukes of Hazzard and later became a congressman. Don't give up your dreams, folks. Number 6, going way back, not really Democrat. In 1820, President James Monroe was reelected with basically 0 opposition. This period of minimal political conflict is known as the era of good blanks. Fill in the blank. Yes, Mary Jack and David.
It's the era of good feelings.
The era of good feelings is correct. Today we call it the era of good vibes, I'm sure. In the chat, Cynthia guessed Bush. No, for the Kennedy question. No, only 2 Bush brothers ran. And their dad, of course. All right, number 7, look at the screen like last time. Tell me, who is this 2020 presidential candidate? Sound out the images. Who's the 2020 presidential candidate? You know her, you love her.
Elizabeth Warren. Buzz.
Yes, Mary Jack and David.
Is it Elizabeth Warren?
It is Elizabeth Warren. Well done, Mary Jack and David. All right. Racking up that score. Well done. Michelle got it in the chat. Michelle.
What was that third thing? Oh, war. Right.
War. Number 8. This is tough. In the 20th century, who, a Democrat, won 2 U.S. presidential elections, each time defeating a future Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? So he was a Democrat, 20th century, won 2 presidential elections.
Buzz.
Yes, Mary Jack and David.
That'd be Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson is correct. Very good. First time it was Taft, along with Theodore Roosevelt. Second time, Charles Evans Hughes. All right, for number 9, we're going to do another presidential limerick. One of the first Democratic presidents, Martin Van Buren. Van Buren, there's not much to say of his effect on the American way. Though he wasn't so cheery, the best linguist theory is that he gave us the saying blank. So it rhymes with say and way, and it is a very, very common saying that linguists credit to Martin Van Buren. You have used this saying today. Yes, Ben.
Okay.
Okay is correct. No one knows for sure, but the most credible theory is okay was originally Old Kinderhook, which was his nickname, being from Kinderhook, New York. It isn't confirmed, but it is a strong theory. And our final question, one that is worth
2-point question.
a 2-point question. I need a number. I will give it to you if you're within 3. If you're within 3, you get 2 points for this question. Currently, how many of the 50 states have 2 Democratic U.S. senators?
Well, it's less than 25.
It is less than 25. How many states have 2? California is one of them, of course. Welcome, Padilla. Ted has got a guess there. He's holding up fingers. Ted is holding up 8. Incorrect.
More than that.
It's not, I mean, doesn't it have to be a contestant who's guessing? Or does it
Yes,
not?
it does. But I wouldn't have said anything if he was right.
I have a point of order question.
Yes.
When you say 2 Democratic senators, do you mean senators that caucus with Democrats, or do you mean?
That is a good question. And you know what? Yes, caucus with Democrats. So Vermont counts. And Vermont counts. Yes, Vermont's the only one.
Good question.
Good question. Very good.
Yeah, sadly not Maine.
Not Maine, no. Maine does not count because of, unfortunately, she has concerns, though. She has concerns about it not counting. She thinks people have learned their lesson about it not counting. He's learned his lesson after being impeached for the first of all. It should have been 7 times. All right. Guess the number. Remember, if you're within 3, you get 2 points.
Buzz.
Yes, Ben.
16.
16 is not within 3. I'm sorry. Cynthia has a guess. I'm not going to say anything yet. Michelle guesses 13. Nope.
Buzz.
Yes, Mary, Jack, and David.
I guess we'll go higher then. How about 20?
20 is within 3. Cynthia was even closer. Cynthia said 23. The answer is 22. So our final scores, thank you, Dorothy. You are indeed great. Ben did excellently with 3 points, but the unfair advantage of numbers with 6 points. Mary, Jack, and David are the big winners. Well done. All right, folks, thanks for playing. You can learn more at biglisting.com. Such an honor to work with you. Keep up the good work. 2021 is going to be a much better year. Take care.
Noah, that was
fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, Dave and Mary, you get the party. Of course.
We'll hold it here.
Exactly. Okay, that's a deal. And you get more masks. Okay. So everybody, this has been amazing. I mean, I have to say, I had such a good time tonight. For me, it was an inauguration celebration. Are we like not the luckiest club? I mean, look who comes and hangs out with us. I mean, like the best. We just have the best assembly, Senate, Congress, local, state, city. I mean, we're really happy. So thank you. And I thank you all for coming, for being with us. And we're going to close with our Benny, our last Benny song. And then. It's great, huh? You could go on YouTube and find some other music. Benedict Brydern, Brydern. And I'm sure he'll be playing at our next Lantern House holiday party. So good night, everyone. Thank you again.
Good night. Thank you.
In February, we will be having our annual meeting and our club elections for officers. And also we will be having the 30th Senate District election to replace Holly Mitchell. So I think we're not sure because of the impeachment trial. Usually our bylaws say we're supposed to have it the first week of February, but we might really be so concentrating on this that we might want to push it back for a couple weeks. But we'll let you know. We'll give you at least 12 days notice so you can be sure to have your membership
current, so you can vote on this. And I think that's it. So thank you. Love you. And bye-bye to the has-been. Hello, new world.
Ah, thank you.
Bye.